Hey everybody, welcome to a little impromptu Nerdwriter Q&A filmed on my new fisheye iPhone lens attachment, which I'm really excited about. I put on Twitter for questions. You guys put a lot of cool ones in there, so let's get right down to it. At Demon5 wants to know, what is your research process like? So my research process has always been the same, and the way that it works is when I pick a topic, and that's a whole nother story, but when I finally choose one, I kind of immerse myself in everything that I could possibly read about it. I read articles, academic journals. I got a login from a grad school friend of mine. Don't tell anybody. And I read as much as I can about it until I feel sort of comfortable with the issue that I know everything, and then I kind of let the structure of what the video is going to be bubble up into my head. That's always how it works. Eventually I'll get to a point where the structure of the video essay will just become apparent. I don't know why that is, but it just happens, and then I'll start to write. Going on from there, either I'll write the whole script and then edit over it, or I'll write the first part of it and think, well, I have to edit this to know what comes next. Once I edit this first part, I'll see what the rhythm is like, and then I can write the next part of it. So it depends on the topic, and it happens in different ways, but the research process is intensive. I only have like a week or a couple weeks to do the research proper for a video, so I dive in hard. At Devontae wants to know, do you have a preferred Stanley Kubrick film? I'd have to say 2001: A Space Odyssey. At The Rising Tides wants to know, what tips do you have for people looking to get into video essays other than just start? So he's referring to a tweet that I put out recently where I said that so many people actually, message me every day to say that they want to get into this, but they don't know where to start. And my advice is the same for everybody. It's just start. And that might sound a little bit reductive, but it's really the best advice that I could give. So many people I know never get past the idea phase or the conceptualizing phase. And what creative work requires is that you make something, finish it, identify what you didn't like about it, and improve on it in the next one. YouTube is unique and awesome for that reason, because I get to put a video out every week, and every week I look at it and get a chance to improve a little bit. But if I had never put something out there, if I had delayed until the thing was perfect, I never would have gotten to where I am today. The only important thing in the beginning is that you're confident and that you put something out there. And then if you know somebody who is trying to do this, that you give them, the encouragement to actually start, because that's the hardest part. Eventually you can, give them constructive criticism when they've established themselves a little bit, but in the beginning, encouragement is key. At Neo Tio Huacan wants to know, expanding beyond Nerdwriter, what is your long-term goal? That's a good question. Right now, I love the internet. I love YouTube, and I wouldn't rather be doing anything else. It's afforded me the opportunity to have a career in which my creative output is 100% mine. The editorial control is 100% mine. No one else even works on the Nerdwriter channel. And that's really cool. I mean, I've talked to and had, conference calls about potential things in other kinds of media, which is exciting, but I'm not totally sure that I want to go those routes and give up the control that I have here, because that has gotten me where I am today. And people like the Vlog Brothers who have rejected opportunities in legacy media is a real, I think, they're real pioneers for people who want to stay online. At Mademoiselle wants to know, how to find one's purpose in life. Stick to a thing or keep searching. Now, this is a huge question. I'm probably not qualified to answer it, but as far as purpose goes, I think that there's a real tragedy there, which is that I think we're obviously not given any kind of objective or cosmic purpose. I don't believe that that exists, or that you can find that. But I think that even personally, there's no purpose that you have that you don't choose. That's kind of how it works. You have to choose your purpose, and that choice is pretty much arbitrary. People who say that they were born to do this or born to do that, I feel like either they don't know that they're lying to themselves, or there's a little bit of self-deception there going on. And that's really hard if you come out of college and you don't know what you want to do, and you feel like I can't figure out what I want to do. Nothing's just occurring to me. It's because nothing will occur to you. You just have to choose. At Darren Robertson wants to know, I've seen people write off your videos as pretentious, mostly because of how you speak in them. How do you feel about this? I've seen those comments. I probably am pretentious, so I don't really have that much of a response to that. But, as far as the way that I talk, that's just the way that I talk. I never ever try to talk a certain way. People talk a lot about the pauses at the end of my videos. If you're an editor and you've edited for a long time, you learn to do things by instinct. And as far as those final, lines in every video go, that's just the instinct of the rhythm that I feel works. So I always just go by my editing instinct. I've paid more attention to it as more people have brought it up and tried to make the pauses a little less. But I'm just doing whatever I feel is right. It's all I can do. And, any accusations of, a lot of my favorite creators have been called pretentious. So I'm pretty okay with being put in that company. At Ben Hawk says, what about a video of your impressions on your trip to France last summer? Wow, I can't believe you remember that. I did make a little video about that. You can watch it here. At Ryan Spargo writes, what do you think has been the biggest tool for your growth and outreach? Social media, word of mouth, or your own marketing? The biggest tool for growth and outreach for me has just been grinding out the videos, pushing through the times in which nobody was watching in the beginning, and then the plateaus of not much subscriber growth in the middle, because that I think will happen to everybody. I try to make my headlines as good as possible. I sort of hate headlining. I hate clickbait. I try to do my best to sort of walk the line of being not too clickbaity, but being not too boring, because the truth is people look at, they look at a million links a day, and if you can't grab them a little bit with your headline or your thumbnail, they're not going to watch you. So I think you have to be cognizant of that. And Hank Green actually wrote a great article on Medium where he talks about how, you shouldn't feel bad about clickbait titles if the content you're giving them is good work. At Jade Williams JA wants to know, what are some of your favorite novels? I have to mention M. John Harrison again, who I always mention. He's my favorite novelist, and so obscure. It's a real tragedy, and he's written science fiction and literary fiction, but I suggest you start with the novel Light, which is so good, and I think you'll go on to read more of his after you read that one. Also, I have to mention Lawrence Durrell, who wrote the Alexandria Quartet and the Avignon Quintet. I've read most of what he's written. Also a kind of forgotten novelist, but his sort of theories and treatments of personality and friendship and relationships form the kind of basis of my philosophy of relationships. And I can't recommend him enough. So check out Lawrence Durrell. Really good stuff. At Stolen PvP wants to know, which presidential candidate seems competent this election year? I'm not going to get into who I support officially, but I do really want to recommend a website called isidewith.org, in which you are .com, in which you are given questions about a lot of different issues, and you're lined up with the candidate that most represents your interests. My sister, who took it last week, said that everyone should be required to take this little survey, because I think that's a big problem with democracy in our country, is that people don't vote their interests. They don't know, on a granular level, what candidate supports what issue on what level. And I think knowing those things would help all of us kind of break through the noise and see who will actually represent us the way we want to be represented. At PIP Head 2 says, tips for young writers. Yes, write more. I've written hundreds of thousands of words since I started writing. In the beginning, it was crap. And I knew it was crap, and I hated it because, like Ira Glass once said, my taste was so much better. I wanted to be like the people I love, but I couldn't achieve it. If you write a lot, I think you'll see improvement in your writing way quicker than you think. I mean, it's not going to happen overnight, but improvement happens when you just put the work in. At Paul John Canna wants to know, would you ever consider touring / giving talks to promote your videos? That's actually a great question, because I'm going to be giving my first TEDx talk in Pennsylvania, actually near my hometown, at Lafayette College next month, and I'm really excited about that. I'm going to be talking about video essays and what they are. So I think I will be doing more of this moving forward, and I just want to make sure that it's great. I want the speeches to be great. So I'm going to be taking a week off, I think, this week that you're seeing this, to write that TED Talk and make sure that it's really good and up to snuff. At Socialant wants to know, what is your setup? What programs do you use? Just quickly, I use Final Cut Pro 10. I know a lot of people hate that program, but Tony Joe at Every Frame convinced me to use it, and I actually really love it now. And I mean, it does everything I need it to do. Oh, and the mic. This is an old mic, and people ask, like, why is it so beat up around here? It's because it's fall off my desk a bunch of times. It's an old mic from Best Buy. I don't know if you can get it anymore, but I really like the quality of it. At Brawl Z wants to know, who is your favorite YouTuber and who do you get inspired by the most? So I just I'll split this question into two parts really quickly. First, on a formal level, a lot of people love him, but Casey Neistat is a real inspiration for me because I think he's doing something that he's pioneering a style that is completely unique to online video. That's what I want to see more of. And on a content level, I love the video essays that Vox is making right now. I think they're sort of, they're the most prestige video essays from a corporation that I've seen. I love the New York Times, like OpDocs are too. Also, I really love Every Frame of Painting and Adam Westbrook's video essays at delve.tv. I'll put some more in the description. At L Calabaster wants to know, do you like pancakes? Yes, obviously. At Lannerholm H wants to know, what were you doing before YouTube? I might have answered this before, but directly before I was doing this full time, I was working at Discovery Digital Network, producing a show called Secret Daily, which I wrote and hosted. That was very loosely based on the Nerdwriter. They got me from MSNBC, and MSNBC got me from a video that I did a while ago on the Kind Fund. And then before that, I was just doing odd jobs, and I telemarketed for car warranties, which was so horrible. And then before that, I was in school. So it's been a wild ride since I graduated, and I'm glad I finally ended up here working for myself and not in an office, because I hate offices so much. At Tillman Trevor wants to know, what do you make of Rotten Tomatoes' effect on modern day film culture? That's a great question. I always check Rotten Tomatoes before going to see a movie, just because I don't want to spend $15 or $18 with ticket prices so high on seeing an okay movie. I think the negative side of that is that we lose the ability to see nuance in our films and see the great things in bad movies or see the bad things in good movies. But maybe I'll just see nuance when I can watch it at home. At Louis Soris 1 wants to know, in your opinion, which is the best YouTube video you've posted? I really like the video I did on Rihanna and Dance Hall, just because it was a challenge to figure out how to express those ideas visually. And once I hit on how to do it, I was really excited. And what is the most fun for me is experimenting with visual styles, doing things that are new, innovating, always trying to push the envelope a little bit to do something that people haven't done before. So that one I really loved. I really loved my actually Death with Dignity video. I tried a lot of interesting things there. And anything that you see from me that is experimental, just know that I was having a lot of fun making it. At Silent But Sure 9 wants to know, if you were a song, what song would you be? I hope I'm A Day in the Life by the Beatles, because that's my favorite song, and I'd like to be my favorite song. At Souza Eduardo wants to know, what's the role of art in these postmodern filter bubble internet days, and how can we really connect to each other? Well, I love the term postmodern filter bubble internet days. It's great for an album or a book. I think, it's an interesting question, because art clearly doesn't have the weight that it used to have, and there's never going to be, I think, a Dickens again. But I could make something and the whole world can see it. It might be a little bit more fleeting than past works, past novels, or past sort of mediums, but it's a whole new world, and we have to work with the times that we have. As far as how do we really connect to each other, I mean, you gotta just make friends and be with people. I mean, internet is great, and I have a lot of people who I communicate with on the internet, and people communicate with me through my videos, but my actual physical friendships and relationships are the most important thing to me in the world, and we have to cultivate those, I think, because it keeps us grounded. And I love those people. I love my friends. At Colin MX31 wants to know, do you work off a template or have a formula of some sort? No, I don't have a template, and it would be no fun for me at all if I did. I mean, that's part of the reason why I left Discovery Digital Networks, because the strictures of producing one video a day meant that everything had to be templatized. The editors only had half a day to work on it, so everything had to look the same every day, and we sort of slotted a script into this B-roll formula that just wasn't interesting to me. I think every piece of content has to be matched with a form that is unique to it. At Vague Solutions wants to know, what's the way to your heart? Well, you should probably ask my girlfriend about that. The amazing, incredible Lissette Padilla, who hosts D-News. She is the love of my life. I couldn't possibly love anyone more, and she's talented and beautiful and funny and weird like me in all those ways. So check out her stuff. I'll link it here. I love you. At Citizen Austin 1 wants to know, are there any films you could consider to be flawless? 2 films, The Big Lebowski and Hot Fuzz. At Keep Calm Readin wants to know, I read your book Big City and loved it. Any plans on writing any more novels? So I thank you for reading Big City. I sort of cringe when I read that now. I wrote 2 novels, that and another one which I never put out, which I cringe even more to read. But I love fiction. I just think I love this a little more, and I knew that as I was, starting this channel, and I was learning that. And I have a 3rd book that I'm writing now, which is hard sci-fi, and it's so cool, but I just don't have the time. If you've written a novel, you know that you have to really devote all your time to it, because you have to sort of stay in the story in your mind. I don't have the time to do that now. Hopefully sometime in the future, I'd love for you guys to read it. I was thinking about putting it out, putting it out chapter by chapter and letting you guys read it. What do you think about that? Let me know in the comments. Jay Shaw wants to know, how do you feel about internet memes? Just quickly, I'd like to say that I love internet memes, and that nothing makes me laugh harder than some of the jokes on Imager. I don't know what it is. It's like a whole new form of ultra aggressive comedy that has ruined me for a lot of other kinds of comedy. And finally, @Joseph Wallace wants to know, what are the key components of a great video essay? How do you make people care about something they didn't know before? So this is really my job, and I think the most important thing is that you develop a narrative about a topic, about an issue. You can present facts and information, but I think people really latch on to stories, and that's what I try to do with every video. There's a metaphor that I love, which is that on film sets, when you're lighting them, the way that it looks on the set has nothing, doesn't look anything like the way that it looks when you see it on film. But gaffers and directors of photography know how that sort of weird code of how to light something on a set to make it look a certain way. You just have to practice and know it. And I think when I'm doing a video essay on something, what I'm trying to do is kind of create a kind of alchemical reaction in the story that I'm telling that makes you as inspired about this thing as I am. Like I've said before, these are primers and essays, which means they're short. So I hope that I've inspired you enough, like the greatest teachers I've had, to go out and learn more about it. So I think narrative story is the most important thing, getting people engaged in something that they wouldn't have thought they could have liked before. Okay, that was so much fun. Thank you for asking your questions. I really appreciated all the questions you put in there. I'm not that great of an extemporaneous talker. The Nerdwriter is all about sort of writing and articulating the way that I feel about something before presenting it. So that's the way I like to communicate normally, but I think this is a good opportunity to put a lot of things on record about how I feel about stuff, and I appreciate your interest always. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you for continuing to watch. I am working my ass off here to make the best possible videos for you that I can. And yeah, I'll see you for the next video.